You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about being afraid. And I know that sounds scary, right? Because the thing is there's always going to be fear in life, but it's how we push through it. It's how we muscle through it. And oftentimes that's leaning on others for support or finding ways to be resourceful, and that's what we want to give you today. And our inspirational guest coming up, Genevieve Piturro, is such a great example of someone who really had to listen for her calling in life and push through the fear of leaving a really good job to the unknown. But I can't wait to share her story with you. I also want to make sure that beyond today's show, you stay supported, or you want to share today's show with a friend. Remember that you can go to the App Store and look for the Living Full Out Show app. It's right there. It's free, and you can listen to us on the go, in the car, at the gym, wherever you are. And also, if you are at home and you're cleaning, you have an Alexa, you can also look us up there and put the Living Full Out Show in as a skill and be able to listen while you're at home. Now, I am getting word from our producer. We do have a listener on the line. Let's go check in with them. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. How can I help you today?
So I got a little question. Dating isn't the easiest to do in my case since I work a ton, but how do I go about meeting people and establishing good connections outside of work or something like a dating app?
You know what the thing is I'm raising both hands. I know you can't see them through the airways here, but I'm with you. It's hard to figure out what does that look like. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever said this, because I know I have, sometimes we get busy and we're like, you know what, right now is just too busy. I'll start in the next month, right?
Oh, totally.
Yep, but before you know it, it's 6 months later. The thing is, I want to give you a little bit of advice, and then you can kind of run with it as it is. So on one hand, I think the apps are great. Whether you're an app person or a website person, I think they're great because you can really meet somebody in a location that you're not at. I think what people tend to do is they think, okay, I want someone local to me. I want someone like right here. And that's not bad. You might find someone literally down the street. But the great thing is, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If you live in California, meet someone in Texas. Maybe that love of your life would be willing to relocate. You know, maybe you'll even make a job change, right? But I think when we niche ourselves only into looking down the street or within our zip code, it doesn't allow you to cast that net, which is truly the beauty of the websites, the dating websites. Now, with the apps, here's the thing. They obviously track your location, right? But there's a gift in that as well. I know plenty of friends who travel for work or when they're on vacation, and they turn on their app. And for the time they're there, they might meet someone for lunch. I mean, it's kind of spontaneous, a little bit, in some case, risky and fearful. But I would definitely use the apps to meet people outside of your normal pocket. Now, have you ever done meetup.com? Have you ever heard of that?
I've not, no.
Okay, so meetup.com, it's pretty much everywhere. I mean, maybe a small town wouldn't have it, but most towns do. And when you go on there, you can create a profile. It's free. And when you do that, you can actually meet people of all different social types. So you can find out about alerts of hiking groups, poker game groups, volleyball groups, board game groups. I do karaoke. Right? And when you do that, you're able to meet people with like-minded interests. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be the person that you want to date, but everybody knows somebody, right? And personally, I mean, I'm always taking applications for more friends. I don't have a friend limit. So, you might meet some new friends out of it, as well as the love of your life. And then I also believe very much in going out by yourself. Okay, I know that might seem antisocial, but when you go out with a buddy or a group of friends, technically you're kind of focused on that person and you're chatting with them or you're giggling in a group, and it's really hard for somebody who may be there on their own to want to intercept that, to break up that vibe. But if you go to lunch on your own, you go get a happy hour beverage on your own. Whatever that looks like, you're more approachable. Now, somebody might say, well, I don't want to go somewhere on my own. But it's okay. Take your phone, take a book, take something that you can look at to occupy yourself. But you're just more approachable. Have you tried any of those?
So the going alone a little bit, I've done like concerts, sporting events and stuff by myself, but it wasn't really with that intention. It was just like, hey, I really want to go do stuff. But looking at it through that lens is a very good idea. Finding like the meetup.com or whichever one it was.
Yep, that's
meetup.com. And stuff and hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good idea. I haven't thought about that one.
And the concerts are great. I love going to concerts too. But truly, it's loud. People are dancing. You might meet someone. You might have some giggles. But it's not the same as if you are, in a restaurant or at a bar or, even just going to the beach, sitting on the beach by yourself or going to a park. You're just more approachable. Do you have a dog? By chance?
I do, yes. Yeah.
Okay, because dog lovers unite. I mean, that is another great way to meet people. Find out what are some of the most populated dog parks in your area. Meet other dog lovers. Even on meetup.com over the years, I've had Jack Russells, I've had Labradors, and there are actually dog groups for different breeds on that site as well. So if whatever you have, you might meet other dog owners with that same type. And I'm just curious because I want to make sure that, although we get you in the right venue and we give you all these outlets, what do you think is the best quality about you? Why should someone be attracted to you?
I feel like I'm a good giving person. I'm a good, consistent person that I like filling other people's glasses before my own in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. And I love that.
I feel like a lot of people miss that, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And so you want to make sure that you ooze that, okay? So for example, I'm not saying you have to have a spiel down, right? But one of the things that people lose when they're out there just dating and doing chit chat is it becomes, so what do you do? So where are you from? Right? And I love that you are about that. And one of the things that you really want to do is just start making sure that you take the light off of you a bit and ask other people, so how's your day going? So, what do you like to do? What restaurants do you like to go to? I've learned that when you get the other person talking, it is actually one of the greatest gifts that you can give them because most people, they cruise around and no one asks them, what do you think? How do you feel? And you're such a heart-centered person already that that's just going to bring more people in. I mean, I really wish you all the best. I know for me, being legally blind, dating's always been kind of quirky. And over time, I've actually started to date with my friends. Literally. And sometimes I give them my phone. They do the swiping for me because sometimes we get in our own way. I just want to hang out, have a friend come over, pass them my phone and say, you know what, for 30 minutes, you go for it. Pick who you think I would be good for, right? Or sometimes if I'm dating with a friend and they secure a date with somebody and they're really great, then they'll actually say, you know what, let's do a double date. Do you have a friend? I'd like to go out with Nancy. We can do a double. And who knows, maybe on that blind date, you will meet someone. So there's so many options. The biggest thing is to have fun, be safe, but have fun. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in and thank you. It's a really good question. So we wish you all the best.
You too. Be
Thank
safe.
you.
Bye.
Bye. The thing is, I love that he was asking about dating. For all of you out there who are sitting right beside the love of your life, then I give you guys a lot of credit. And so good that you found each other. But for the rest of us, we kind of look around and we're looking for that somebody. But you always have to remember that life evolves. And for those who are married 50 plus years, again, my hat goes off to you all. And I'm sure you've weathered some storms in your relationship. But at the end of the day, you have to be good to yourself. Give a little bit of grace, right? Because we do change. We grow up. Sometimes it takes decades to do that, right? Our interests might change. You might have a life-altering event where maybe you were one way and you were a certain type of person before that event, and now you've kind of matured and evolved in a different way after. So again, I believe that love is all around us. It's just finding that right partner that you can run with. Now, I want to make sure you stay with us. Genevieve Piturro is coming up. I want to tell you all about her Pajama Project and how she founded that, how it's grown leaps and bounds into many different nonprofit chapters. And it's just really inspiring to know that we can dream, and truly those ambitions, those aspirations, they can come true. You just got to weather those storms, and like our listener just now, call in, ask me some questions. I'm here to always help. So we're going to be coming right back after this break with Genevieve Piturro. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be back.
Life looks a little different. During these times, we're doing our best to keep our minds and bodies strong. And getting a flu shot helps us stay healthy, so we don't miss out on what matters. Like having game night at home. Yeah, can't do that while sick with the flu. Now imagine family movie night that your daughter can't live without. Well, that's ruined. And don't forget your uncle's socially distanced cookout. See? That's why it's important to be at our strongest. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about being afraid and how do you push through that fear? How do you get to the other side? How do you muster the confidence? Well, we have brought you an inspirational guest today, Genevieve Piturro, who really is a great example of what it means to live full out, but how to fight through that fear. So I'd like to welcome Genevieve to the show.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good to hear. It's so, gosh, to hear your sweet voice. I am just great. I really was excited today to have you on the show because, number one, you're a heart-centered gal, and I love that. But the fact that you can now get to a place where you can reflect and see that you made some really tough decisions, but they were the right one. And I think sometimes when people get to crossroads in life, they're worried, what if I make a mistake? And sometimes you have to take that leap of faith, which is what you did. So I want to take our audience back a bit. I know you grew up, you were the oldest of four, very, bonded Italian family. And, you were kind of on your nerdy side, and through college, you finally found your stride working at a radio station and doing writing and had your own show and dating and really kind of developing and evolving into who you were. However, along the way, you found yourself as a network executive, just living the dream and being independent and having such focus. But that wasn't enough. Why?
You're right. Everything you said was absolutely right. And everything was going along the plan I had. And I didn't know that there was anything missing. I thought this was an exciting, full life in television in New York City, and I was busy all the time, and I was advancing up the ladder. I never thought of purpose or fulfillment. Nobody taught me that growing up. I think now we're lucky to see that, it's a conversation. So I just wanted to get a good job. And 15 or so years in, I heard a voice in me in a quiet moment ask me, if this is the next 30 years of your life, is this enough? And Nancy, that's when just those words, that question coming from this place in me, like it was my heart voice, asked me that, it made me really look in the mirror.
Well, and around that time, you were in your late 30s, and you shortly after you started, dating Demo and who you're married to today, but there had been a lot of years where it was you and it was you and your work. And now that wasn't enough. What did you feel that you were finally missing when you heard this voice?
I think if I had thought about it from my head, if someone had asked me that, I'd have a different answer. But in the moments when I was getting over the fact that I heard this voice, first of all, that came from, in my heart, it came to me that the Italian tradition of getting married and having kids that my parents really instilled in me that I ignored was what I had to look at. And I really did love having kids around. I had nephews, nieces, godsons. And I said, I think I missed something here, seriously missed it. And although I'm not sure getting married and having kids is on, my path, children are. How can I bring children into my life? And I saw a recent news article about children who were being taken out of a sad situation, being hurt in a home that was supposed to be loving, of course. And they were brought to a shelter. And I started calling shelters, asking if I could come and read to these children at night. And I never felt more grounded. There I was in my business suit, sitting on the floor of this emergency shelter, staring at these little faces who were so afraid and traumatized and not taken well care of. That felt like home.
You know, I love everything you just said for so many reasons. I mean, life is full of color, right? There's different variations, and everyone's got different shoes of life that they're, wearing around. But there's so many people that go through infertility. There's so many people that are in long relationships. They never have kids as a couple, and then they find themselves divorced or separated again, and life just happens. And then you turn around and you have that need that you just didn't fulfill during the time you might have or should have or could have done it. So I love that you listened to that call. I love that you saw that news report, and I love that it guided you to that moment. But there was a little girl that really, really was the voice, the true voice that changed her life. What did she say?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Well, I would go once, twice a week, read to the children, always a different group that the police and social workers brought in. All the young ones were the ones I was reading to. And one night, I wanted to see, after I read to them, where they were going to sleep. I'd always left, and then the caretakers took them to this room to go to sleep. And I followed for some reason. Something prompted me to follow. And when I saw them all trying to sort of hop up onto the surfaces, there were futons and single beds and couches, and sometimes there were two on a surface sort of huddling together, and some of them were crying. And what I noticed was they were sleeping in the same clothes they'd been wearing, which were soiled, and a lot of them didn't even fit these children. And I said to myself, how can they fall asleep? They're already, so afraid and lonely, and now they can't even be comfortable. And I asked if I could bring some pajamas, because my mom put us in pajamas. We had a whole routine that was loving, which I'd never thought about for all those 7 years. And they thought that was a nice idea, and I brought them. And when I started giving them to the children after the reading that I did the next night, one little girl was just so afraid of me, and I didn't know why. She just kept walking away and shaking her head. She was afraid. And I kept watching her, and I kept the pajamas that I wanted to give her. And at the end, she was standing by herself with the caretaker. And I went over and I knelt down and I tried one more time to get her to touch the soft pajamas. And I said, they're so soft, honey, and they're pink, and you have a little pink in your shirt. You can keep them. I thought maybe she had thought she had to give them back. And I said, you can wear them all day tomorrow. I bet it'll be fine. And she leaned in and she whispered to me, what are pajamas? And that was everything to me. Everything and nothing at the same time. And I just was obsessed, became obsessed.
Well, pajama sales are going to go up today after today's show. Everybody wants pajamas. But you're right. I mean, such little things that we take for granted, a little girl did not have. And this was your calling to help those kids have pajamas. And I know from there, it really became full speed ahead. You kind of ended up living a little bit of a double life for a while, because you were still working your executive job and yet starting this new soon-to-be nonprofit. And it's one of those things, Genevieve, where the steps that you did next to really get it ramped up, to really make it have the effect that it did, that's what I want everybody to lean in and listen to. So we're going to be going to a quick break, so stay with us. But today we are talking about being afraid. Just like that little girl, she was afraid of these pajamas, but they're only pajamas. So what are you afraid of? What are you pushing back on in your life? What are you fearful because you just don't know what it is? You just don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know how it's going to change your life. But what if, just like that little girl who took those pajamas, it's everything you needed? What if, just like Genevieve, she heard that calling and she found she was home? That could be you as well. That is the signature to living full out. We'll be right back after this break.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
They'll challenge your authority.
Seatbelt on.
They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
7 million children suffer from asthma, more than any other chronic disease. Most asthma attacks are caused by allergic reactions to allergens, including those left behind by cockroaches and mice. In fact, 82% of U.S. households contain mouse allergens, and cockroaches are found in up to 98% of urban homes. How can you protect your family? Find out at pestworld.org. A message from the National Pest Management Association and the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association. In partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about being afraid. And how do you push those fears aside and say, you know what? I'm going to go in this direction. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm going to trust my instincts. I'm going to trust my decisions. Well, Genevieve Piturro had to do just that when creating the Pajama Project. So I'm going to welcome her back to the show. Welcome, Genevieve.
Thank you, Nancy.
So here you were, you had this new calling, right? The little girl, she anchored it for you. This was what you were meant to do. And you eventually did leave your high-powered executive job that you loved, but you knew that you had to take this leap of faith. But there was a time when, you started to get a friend of yours who helped out with some PR, and boy, did that start making things kind of snowball. And then you had this little teeny article about your project that was in a publication, and that opened some doors. And then Oprah Winfrey herself came knocking on your door. And I don't know, that's pretty scary to go from like 0, 1 all the way to like a 9, 10. How did you handle that pressure?
It was scary. What I learned, though, about fear, because the most fearful I felt was way before that, was when I didn't know. I knew I didn't know what I was doing. Let's put it that way. And I was afraid to put it out there because I was saying to myself, what am I going to say to people? I'm thinking of quitting this job because I met this little girl who didn't have pajamas, and all the kids need pajamas, and I go to the shelter, and I don't want to work anymore at my job because I want to give these kids pajamas. There are so many. And that sounded ridiculous. And so I kept my mouth closed. I didn't tell anyone. And that's, you mentioned the double life. That's where I got into trouble, trying to keep the job, run around, rack up bills galore, but not tell anybody. And that was the most fear. But what was the key to unlocking the secret is tell people. Tell your story from your heart. Tell what happened. Most of us are doing what we're doing in a job or in any kind of a project because of something that touched us, that happened to us. And that's what connects us. So the moment I started to tell the story about that little girl, because it wasn't about me, it was about her effect on me. And I realized her effect was the same on almost everyone I told the story to, all the way to the reporter of Parenting Magazine, to Miss Oprah herself. That little girl, I channeled her, and everyone heard and felt what I did. This can be fixed. We have to do something about this. This is something that, we can jump into. And together, that human connection, when you are on purpose, is a miracle maker.
Well, and I'm picturing you here in your home, right? You've got all these stacked up boxes of all these pajamas, and you're even getting somebody who's writing you a letter saying, "Hey, give us your 501c information. We'll donate some money." And you're like, "What is that?" I mean, you really had to learn your executive director role, minute by minute. But then came the time when others wanted to be involved, not in your exact town, but they wanted across the country to support your mission. And it's one thing to just have like a solo operation, but it's another thing to grow. How did you fight the fear of that?
Right. That's the human connection. That's a movement because everyone felt that way. I was thrilled. I kept saying, am I waking up from a dream? I can't believe people care, all the way from New York to Montana to Texas to California. People are calling if they read an article or hear about this. Can we help the children here with pajamas? Can we help? And chapters started to form, volunteers. And it was so funny because even to this day, some of the early chapter presidents, who are all volunteers, said to me, "What do we do?" And I said, "I don't know. We have to figure it out. What do you want to do?" And the fear left. I just felt like we were guided to figure it out, and it was going to be okay because what we were doing was full of love and heartfelt. Now, I don't know if that's naive in today's world, but it's the only way I knew. So the more people that felt her pain and wanted to help, a little of that fear dissipated every time.
Well, and the thing is, again, here you are evolving this for, year after year after year and watching it grow. And I can only imagine the pride that you have in yourself for hearing that call and making that decision and taking that leap of faith. But with so many different careers comes the time when you pass over the baton to someone else. When is it the right time to not be the executive director anymore? And you did have to make that decision fairly recently. How did you know when was the right time?
Yes, I did. Well, I wanted to, all through the 20 years that I was executive director, so many people who heard the story would ask me for any guidance, any support, any tips, because they too were contemplating a change. And I thought, wow, all these people have been quiet and they really want to make a change? Okay, so I started to help and to talk to them about it, and I was invited to speak. And I said, I want to write a book because I have to tell people not just how exciting and fulfilling it is when it's successful, but I don't want them to be shocked that it's not perfect along the way. I want them to know that I got into debt, I got into financial problems, I, made my poor husband, crazy, and I was obsessed, and the ups and downs and what got me through, including the fear. So people appreciated when I included that in the conversation and in my guidance. So I said, 20 years is the mark. So one of our board presidents had said to me, if you do decide to speak and write a book and make your living that way, please consider me. I would love to be executive director. And the board agreed and voted her in. So that was just before the pandemic, and my book came out in the pandemic. So that's when I knew it was right. It's almost like my purpose part 2.
You know what I love about that is because early on you were like, tell people. And here you were telling them, kind of sharing, when that transition might come. If you had never hinted that, if you had never kind of talked about it here, talked about it there, maybe she wouldn't have said, hey, I'd like that job. When you're ready, I'm ready. So I think that's fantastic. And there is something to be said for instincts. Because I think a lot of times, we're talking today about being afraid, and I think the American dream is partly to have, one's own business, one's own nonprofit, whatever that looks like, following that career passion, getting promoted to the job that you want. But it can be scary. So what did you have to have in your toolbox? What were your go-tos that really gave you that sense of zen, calm during the really stressful times?
Well, it's so funny. 2 things. First, Pajama Program was built on moxie. I think that's what I had that saw me through. Once I decided I have to tell the story about this little girl, everything came into place under the word I'll use is moxie. I decided this is happening. I can see the reaction. I can get some ears to listen. I don't know what it's going to take because I'm already in financial trouble, but I'm going to get myself out, and these kids are going to get pajamas. So that sort of was like the bull in the china shop part. But then the meditation, which my husband taught me, sort of measured that. And Pajama Program grew a lot through listening to the inner voice that I heard in meditation, and then listened to in the quietness of the time before I went to sleep, the time I woke up, if I found myself in a quiet place. So I had the moxie to take that inspired action, but I also grew to really listen in a quiet time, not to force listening, but just to stay quiet, think about my next step or my problem or challenge, and just sort of wait for an answer. And it didn't always come in the moment, rarely did, but it came in another quiet moment. So I think both the moxie on one side and the meditation and the quiet stillness of listening to your heart voice on the other side really made Pajama Program a success.
Well, and we just have a couple more minutes, but I really want to touch on something. You've leaped into a little bit of a new realm, which we just have a little bit to talk about. But what is the bridge to the pajamas now to the importance of sleep?
Yes, and Jamie, our new executive director, is taking us to a new level, which I'm thrilled with, because we all know how important sleep is. We are all talking about how disturbing it is when we don't get sleep and how it affects us. And if you can imagine the added trauma for these children, I know I met so many children who had awful stories about their bedtimes and the way that they were, treated at bedtime and how frightened they were, and the situation where they were living was unstable and scary. I didn't know then how they could sleep and get up the next day feeling good and having to go to school or just trying to feel safe. So with the added trauma of everyone, if they're living with family members not sleeping, she said, we need to teach sleep bedtime, which we all had, and I had it in a beautiful way. And it's about quieting yourself down. It's about the routine so that you know that sleep is going to be a little more peaceful because you've done these few things before bedtime to ready yourself. And the kids who are old enough to understand are really getting it, and they understand, and it becomes natural. At least we hope it will become very natural, not only for them, but for the caretakers and the parents and family members who, as we all are, get wrapped up in stressful situations at night.
Well, I like I said, I just thought that was such a really great new adventure of the Pajama Project. So I wanted to make sure we touched on that. But thank you so much, Genevieve, for being on the show today. And we're going to keep watching you, watching the whole project grow.
Thank you. Well, Pajama Program thanks you. I thank you. The children thank you. And I just so appreciate you. Thank you, Nancy.
Oh, thank you so much. And for everyone else, we're going to be coming right back. But hone in on what you're afraid of. Maybe we can poke some holes on it and make it not so scary. Because life is meant to be lived. That's what it means to live full out. So stay with us. We'll be coming right back after this break.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
When it comes to being afraid, I know that it's scary, and sometimes the uncertainty of life can get the better of us. But I want you to take your power back. I want you to look at what you're fearful of, and just for 1 second, don't give it all the power of the what ifs. I want you to really stand in a place of love and certainty, and trust your instincts, trust your ability to make good decisions, because that is what it means to live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
It has been so great having you here today. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and we've been talking about being afraid. And the thing is no one's going to escape being afraid in life. And I got a crash course in that, going legally blind. It's so interesting. I love my guide dog, Frost. Oh, he's so yummy. Such a good boy. But being blind, it actually is scary. It's not scary actually because you can't see and things are darker or things are more blurry. Believe it or not, that isn't what is scary. What is scary is when I'm out and about. Here I am with Frost. I'm holding the handle of his guide dog harness, and he is my guide. He is the one to tell me when to step down and step up, and sometimes we'll go to the beach, and because of the erosion of the sand, I mean, there'll be like almost 2-foot drops. I mean, it's wild what the ocean can do. And I have to trust that Frost is going to recognize that. But I think to myself oftentimes as he's pulling me along and, you know, it's all blurry and I can't see really where he's going, but I'm just trusting him. I think to myself, gosh, I hope I don't fall. What if I twist my ankle? Oh my gosh, what if I hit a branch with my face? Oh, what if I run into a pole? And the thing is, I have to quiet those voices, those what ifs, because I can what if myself silly, right? I can have those get the better of me and think, well, Frost and I, we should play it safe. We'll only walk on the sidewalks. But is that really a life adventure? No. It is getting out there on the beach. It is going on hikes. It is walking around cities that we travel to when we're speaking and not knowing where we're going. That is adventure. But if you let something like a health condition hold you back, or maybe the fears and insecurities of your childhood hold you back, or the time that someone has ever said something to you, like kind of like they bit your hand off, right? And you're like, I'm not doing that again. And that holds you back. Are you really allowing yourself to live full out? No. So what I learned in my time is first of all, blindness has been a gift because it allowed me to see where I'm fearful. Let's just say I could see. Let's say I had perfect 20/20 vision. I could still hit my head against a pole. I could still fall and break or twist my ankle. All those things could still happen. So why would I make that and blame that on blindness? So when I go out there, I grab that harness and I say, Frost, let's go. Goodbye. We're off and running. And the adventure starts. And I also know that sometimes for all of you that are thinking about getting back out there dating, scary, right? What if I get on an app and someone lies about their weight? They lie and they're actually married. They ghost me. What if I waste my time? Yeah, I mean, you could what if yourself silly, right? But what if there's someone just like you? Good intentioned, well-hearted, looking for love. Well, if you don't put yourself on the app, if you don't get on the website, if you don't, like I told the listener earlier today, if you don't go out to lunch by yourself, then you're never going to open that door. You're never going to have that opportunity. The love of your life is not going to come knocking on your door, right? You got to get out there. Fight through that fear. And for all of you that are looking to start a business, like that is like a big gulp, right? How do I fund the bills? How do I hire people? How do I do the doings of the business and do all the preparatory work and do the follow-up work? And, how do I do all that? Well, again, you have to know that your dream, your aspiration, that end goal, the service, the product that you're giving, that problem that you're solving, that's got to be bigger than your fear. Now, if your fear is bigger and you doubt that your service or product is going to be special, unique, or different, then you might want to take a pause and wonder, gosh, do I have the right gift? Do I have the right product, service? Is the market saturated already with what I am trying to offer? And just go back to the drawing board. Look for that gap. Look for the lack. Look for a demographic that's not being served. Look for a product that is, maybe dinosauric and you can make it more hip and trendy, more easy, solving a problem. And when you see that, now the fear of starting that business and all the doings of it become less and less, because you know that you're holding like a winning lotto ticket. Your business idea is a winner. And then the long hours are worth it. Then it's like it just kind of blends away. I mean, I know for me when I'm working, it's a blurry line between work and play, because I love what I do. I love being here with you, but you better believe it. Before this show came many, many hours of prep. And then after this show, it'll be on to the next, prepping for the next shows. So you have to have that tenacity, that vigor, but most of all, you have to not be afraid. And I know you can say to me, Nancy, that's easier said than done, but it does start with you. You are your solution. You are your inspiration. That love, that passion, it's within you. That's the good news. So I want you to get out there. I want you to live full out. Know that we are always here for you. Reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. And most of all, I believe in you. This show stands right beside you every step of the way. We are going to fight through that fear. We're going to get you out there. Remember to smile and always remember to have fun. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Here's to you, living full out.